Yeah, we're in Mistform and we're killing people. What is going on? Stick around to see what we're doing. Hey, it's Dan, and welcome back to Unified Gaming. Now, in this one, I want to go through and introduce you to Misty. If you've seen the preview video that was up a few days ago, that kind of had a really positive reception, and people wanted to see what we're doing. So in this one, I'm going to go through and show you exactly what we're doing, the gear, the skills, everything you need to know so you can run this yourself. And just a word of warning, it is really trolly, but incredibly fun to play. And for all those people on Patreon, I just want to say a massive thank you as well for your support. Like, it really helps. And if you want to help myself and the channel, there's a link in the description. You get access to videos early and all that good stuff. But with intros just out of the way, let's just get into it. Starting with our race, we're a Breton on this, and I did test this between a Breton, High Elf, Argonian, and I actually race changed on live server. From doing that, there was no difference in sustain, in all honesty. There's very little benefit. I personally would recommend being something like an Argonian or Breton out of the two. So those would be my kind of go-tos. But any race, in all honesty, works for this. Imperial wouldn't be a bad shout either, actually. As a Breton, you get Magicka, which buffs your damage. You get Spell Resist, which is always nice. You also get Magic Recovery. That doesn't work when you're in Mistform mode, so that is a little bit wasted. But the big one is that cost reduction. 7% on your magical abilities really helps with some of the skills we're using. So this is quite useful, but not needed. So don't panic if you're a different race. As with kind of the sort of food, we're actually using Bewitched Sugar Skulls. This is health, magicka, and stamina. It also gives you health recovery, but we're a stage 3 vampire, so we don't really spec massively into health regen. That said, if you are a Breton, you can actually push health regen a bit higher and you gain much more bulk, so that's an option. Mundstone wise, we use the Lover. The Lover increases our penetration, which in turn increases all of our damage sources, so proc sets, skills, everything goes up. So the Lover is the best damage one, and because we can actually self-sustain in this form and do damage, we don't need to worry about the Atronach and stuff, so really good there. As with kind of attribute wise, this is my stat page, so I'll just buff up quickly. There's the minor toughness. We have 32k magicka, 32k health, almost 33k health. We have 19k spell resist, almost 15k physical, 3.3k crit resist, and our regens are quite low, like 900. It's quite low, but we do have a lot of cost reduction, so our skills are really cheap. So don't be alarmed if you go, oh, regen looks low. It's honestly more than fine. As with damage, you're probably thinking damage is low as well, but the damage comes from the procs, so don't sort of stress there. But that's the attributes. You can mix it up as you see fit. If you want more bulk, more survival, more health, more damage, a bit more max magicka, there's not much in it. That's kind of the sort of race and stuff. As with kind of potions and consumables, I would recommend Tri-Stat Potions are great for this, or Essence of Immovability, which are really good. You can use things like this as well, that's not too bad. Just for the extra movement speed, it's quite nice. But I'd personally go for Tri-Stat, just it buffs kind of all of our stats and works in all situations, so it's kind of a jack of all trades. I'm now going to go through the skills, and I would honestly recommend, paying close attention, because this is actually really important on more so than any normal build. And if you do like these videos, make sure that you are liking, you are commenting, and you are subscribed. Many of you are still not. So skill wise, we actually have Flame Ring on the front bar. We have Electro Infection. We have Blood Mist. This is the damage one that heals us. So this is really cool because we can heal, which means we can stay in this form longer because we're healing as we're taking damage. And the more people you're on, the more healing you get. So the more people attacking you, the more heals you get, so it's great. You can change this, however, to Elusive Mist and chase people quicker, so that works. We then have Blue Betty, which this is phenomenal. It's a mini purge, it's major brutality and sorcery, and it gives us magic back. And now the magic return is about 176 per second, so you go 176, add on, well, that's 260. But when we go to the back bar, you'll see we have Elemental Drain, which is 168. So with this here, Elemental Drain, plus the Betty, that's like 300 plus mag back every second whilst in Mistform, which means we can pay for this forever. So really, really good synergy there of those two skills. We also have Bird of Prey on that front bar. This is for Major Expedition and Minor Berserk while slotted, plus bonus damage from the animal passives. A little tip of this, if you cast this then Mistform, you basically get an elusive mist, but you also get bonus damage and you heal. So that's why I do it this way. And then for the ultimate, we're using Swarm and Scion, which is amazing. This is basically the old no button of the build. If you get low health, you pop like cast this and your health goes back to full. So it is stupid strong. And when this is up, you deal damage around you and you heal for any damage you do. So you're like pretty much immortal. It's really hard to die in this. So this is like probably the best offensive ult you can get. I did try Winter's Embrace ultimate, so Sleet Storm and then Northern Storm, but I actually found this was better. So go with this one. For the back bar, we're using Ice Fortress. This is our armor buff. It's also minor protection, so that also helps in Mistform. It's 5% damage reduction again. We have Consuming Trap, which is actually really good because when we hit this on somebody, as we kill them, we get all the Magicka and Stamina back, and we also get healing. So whilst we're in Mistform, we get all the regen back, which is amazing. So it's just like a big chunk of sustain when we're in Mistform on top of the free Mistform anyway. We then have Arctic Blast, which is a really good skill. This heals you, it has a heal over time, and anybody nearby gets hit with types of frost damage, and if they get hit 3 times, they get stunned. This works whilst we're in Mistform, so we can cast this, switch to the Mistform, go into Mistform, and whilst we're in Mistform, we're still damaging people with the ice thing, so they get stunned whilst we're in Mistform. It's amazing, so really, really try it there. And then as we said, we use an Elemental Drain from earlier, so this is Major Breach, which is bonus damage. It's also minor magic steel, which means this, plus Betty, as we said, pays for the Mistform. So we can perma-mist whilst we're next to people. It's really, really stupid. And even if we're not next to people, Betty pays for most of the Mistform anyway, so just really, really strong. And then the last one is kind of a flex spot in all honesty, and I use Shimmering Shield. And I mainly use this for the ultimate generation, but this is phenomenal. When you come out of the Mistform, you can cast this and people will hit you, typically because you're trolling them, and they'll proc it and you get major heroism, which means you can get your ultimate quite quicker, which is just really, really strong. So you always have this pretty much when you need it as like an all no button. So I would highly recommend using Shimmering Shield. But if you want to go with more trolls and just more filth, I would change this to Crystallized Slab, which is the other morph. And when you get hit, it shoots projectiles back. So you can basically do all your stuff, go in Mistform. This sits on you whilst you're in Mistform, and anybody that hits you will get hit back again from this, and they get hit really hard. So this is great. Plus it pays for most of its cost. You know, it's 555 Magicka back, and it only costs 2.5k with the stuff we use. So it's really cheap to use. We then have Healing Thicket, which is kind of an all-no button, which we can use to heal ourselves or allies, and I always use it on most of my kind of Warden builds, to be honest. It's just so cheap to use, so why wouldn't you? But that is the skills. I wouldn't change any of them, and you're probably going to see, why am I using a fire staff? You could use like shock, frost, fire, it makes no difference, as long as you have the right weapon. So if you have a frost one, don't panic, okay? But that there is the skills. I'm going to go through the CP first, because it's slightly different. So the CP in this one, as you can see, it's pretty generic in the green CP, which is what I normally use. And then in the blue CP, it's been adapted to be more appropriate for this. So we push loads into Thaumaturge just for the exploit passive, which is really useful. So you can obviously get this in roll dodge. So when you roll dodge, you set someone with balance, and then you get this. And in PvP, people are always got balance anyway. So that's a nice one to have, but you can change this if you like. And then this is on the jump point, just so you know. And we have a little bit of crit, just for crit heals basically. And in the red CP, it's again very generic. Unchained is quite a nice one to have. We don't actually use any stam things here, but it's good if you can get it on most stam builds. And then I have quite a bit in quick recovery, and I have a little bit in Bastion, just because occasionally I do slot on a shield. So when I said to that flex spot earlier, if you are somebody who goes, oh, I want to try it with a shield, Harness Magicka is really, really good with this. Like if you put this on in that flex spot, you can put this on in Mistform, and the Mistform damage reduction gets applied to this. So this is stupidly strong. So it's just like so sort of trolly, and you get a lot of the magic back as well. So yeah, it's really good. But that's kind of the CP as we've seen. I'm going to go through the sets now and what we're doing, and just a word of warning, this is really stupid. It takes a while to farm though, so pay close attention, okay? And as I said, if you do like the video, then make sure that you are liking, you are commenting, and you are subscribed, because you have more stuff on the way. As with the stuff, we have the Black Rose Inferno stuff. This can be perfected, and it would be better, but it's a pain in the neck to get, so don't stress if you don't have this. Like, all of the gameplay you can see in the background right now is with this current setup. So yeah, what this does is it reduces the cost of impulse, and it adds a stupidly OP dot in, just so much dot damage over 8 seconds. And when we actually go into our front line with our betting edge, because it's animal companions, this goes up, so it's 6,000 in each tooltip. Did a 6, 12, 18,000 plus the 500 odd, so like almost 19,000 over 8 seconds. It's so strong. And we use an absorb bit from this, but I actually find that having double dot poisons is really good. So I would recommend using double dot poisons with this, like stupidly strong. Any will do, okay? On the back bar, we have the Fetishan Frost Staff. This can be any staff, as long as it's Fetishan's Frost, Fire, Lightning, it makes no difference. If you're going to kind of go best in slot, Frost would be preferable, but it's not end of the world. And this, when you cast Weakness to elements on a target within 15 meters, you cause a surge of energy between you and them, and it does loads of damage. This happens every second, it goes up and up and up and up. What's really strong about this is that we can cast this in the back bar, switch to the front bar, cast this, and now we have this nasty dot, we have this nasty dot, so we get loads and loads of damage. It's really strong. So that's what I'd recommend for the weapons. The trait wise on the Fetishan one could be anything you like. Defending would be best in all honesty, so I'd go for defending if you can get it, but I'm just low on crystals, so that's why I haven't changed it. As for monster set, there's a few options. I have been testing Hrothgar recently. I find Hrothgar's really good in like battlegrounds and objective modes where people are on flags, but my favourite one actually is Valkynscoria. Valkynscoria is phenomenal for this build. I would also recommend, if you can, get 7 light armor. It makes your Mistform even cheaper. I don't have light Valkynscoria yet. But yeah, Valkynscoria is what I'd recommend for this. It's penetration, which is great. And more importantly, when you deal damage over time, you proc it and it just does crazy damage. Like, that is the burst to build max, so this fixes all the burst issues. You have loads of dot damage, as you can see. And then for the other set, we use Savara Scales. Now, this is a really interesting set. This comes in light, medium, and heavy, and I have this in light armor. Now, in light armor, you get access to the light armor passives, which means our damage, gets higher because of penetration, which means Valkynscoria hits harder, Fetishan hits harder, Black Rose hits harder. So it's really good. It gives us a lot of benefits. If you can't get this in light armor though, medium armor is still fine. The damage is still high enough. It's much higher with Savaras. So yeah. You also get some nice buffs. It's health, stamina, and magic health. That's always useful. You also get 20% damage reduction from guards. So that's in Imperial City and in Cyrodiil. But the big one is this. When you deal damage, you cause a burst of Lamar poison dealing 1100 damage. And then you've got a massive dot of 14,000 over 7 seconds. And over 6 seconds, sorry. It can proc almost on cooldown. So what I normally do is at range, cast this. This is an AoE at range. And then this is also an AoE, which means when we actually cast the 2 skills, like the skill, we proc this, and we proc this, and we typically proc these. So with just one elemental ring, we proc so much AoE damage, it's ridiculous. And it's all dots, so it's just so much damage. I've gone with all impenetrable on this, by the way. I've tried Divines, and Impen was just better, in all honesty, so go for Impen if you can. And then for the jewellery, we have 2 pieces of trainee, and we've gone with infused, reduced magicka cost. And then we have Markarth on top of all of this to boost the damage even further, which means all of these procs that you see, all those crazy high damage numbers, just get a 25% damage boost on top. And procs can't deal crit damage anyway, so there's no downside to this. It's really, really strong. So it means that this is 25% stronger, this is 25% stronger, this is 25% stronger, and this is 25% stronger. So we have 4 procs dealing crazy damage, and we can sit in Mistform for our just survival. So it's a really, really fun build to play. So I'm going to go through the gear just once more in case you've missed it. As we said, it's Black Rose Inferno, Fetisham Frost Staff, Falcon's Glory is my preferred, Savaris Scales, and then 2 Trainee and 1 Markarth. As we said, Savaris should be in light armor if you can. If you're somebody who can't afford Savaris because it's very, very expensive, you can also try Mad Tinkerer. That's actually really good. So this is great for duels. So I'll use Mad Tinkerer and duels. And if I don't have access to any of these sets, another good set is Oblivion's Foe, which I don't actually have on this character. Oh, there it is. And another good set is Oblivion's Foe. So if you don't have Savaris Scales, Oblivion's Foe is also a really good one to use. So that is like plan B, you can craft this. So don't be alarmed if you can't get this set. It's just this that auto procs on any damage, which this one you have to cast something. But yeah, that's the sets, guys. That's the skills, the CP, everything you need to know. I'd like to know what you think of this one. It's very different. I do have sort of other builds like this where they're a bit more wacky. I don't really share them because they're just a bit stupid. But yeah, I'd like to know what you think. So obviously leave a comment if you can. And if you want to kind of see how to play this build, then make sure you are subscribed. We're going to be putting up a follow-up very shortly, kind of showing Misty in action with BGs, in Zero if it doesn't lag, and you can kind of see what we do there. I'll give you some tips and tricks and all that good stuff. And if you do get a chance, do jump into our Twitch. We do it every weekend on Saturday typically. And yeah, I'm going to kind of wrap the video up here. So once again, a huge thank you to those Patreons. And with that said, I'm just going to catch you in the next video. So thanks for watching, guys. Take care and bye.